go. Good morning and welcome to the 765th stated meeting of the Philadelphia Historical Commission. And we'll begin today with introductions. I'm Dan McCubry, architect, chair of the Architectural Review Committee, and sitting in as chair for today's meeting. To my left.
Good morning, John Leck, representing the Department of Licensing and Inspections.
Good morning, James D'Onofrio, representing City of Philadelphia Department of Commerce.
Good morning, Kyle O'Connor, representing the Department of Public Property.
Good morning, Donna Carney, Planning Commission designee.
Franz Robauer.
Good morning, Emily Cooperman, architectural and landscape historian and chair of the Historic Designation Committee.
Good morning, Emily Persico, Department of Planning and Development.
Right, the next, our executive director, John Farnham, will take us through some procedures and protocols for today's meeting.
Thank you and good morning. As the chair says, my name is John Farnham. A couple of notes about today's meeting. The meeting is being recorded, and by participating in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. The recording will be available later today or perhaps on Monday on the Historical Commission's website, www.phila.gov/historical. Also on that website, on the public meetings page of the website, you'll find everything you need to participate in today's meeting, the agenda, all application materials, and public comment received by noon yesterday. Every agenda item includes an opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to comment, you'll need to raise your hand during the public comment period. If you're here in the room, of course, just raise your hand. If you're out on Zoom, the raise your hand feature, or if you're on a telephone, *9 to raise your hand. Once the chair has acknowledged you to speak, if you're out on Zoom, you'll have to unmute yourself using the audio toggle, *6 if you're on a telephone. The commission typically makes its decisions by unanimous consent, but if there is apparent disagreement among commissioners, a roll call vote will be conducted. Finally, the Historical Commission has adopted guidelines for conduct at its meetings. Those guidelines include order of presentation, time limits, other information pertinent to the management of the meeting. If you're unfamiliar with them, please take a look at them. They are available on the public meetings page of the Commission's website. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farnham. Right, the first item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes of the 764th stated meeting. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
All right, then unless I hear otherwise, we have unanimous consent. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are 3 properties on the agenda: 137 North 2nd Street, 1500 to 10 North Broad Street, 40 Spring Garden Street, Building D. And are there any comments from commissioners on these consent agenda items? Is there public comment?
No hands are raised.
Then let's have a motion.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Then unless I hear otherwise, we have unanimous consent. And now we'll move on to the architectural items on today's agenda. The first one is 302 Market Street.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, everybody. I'm Alex Till with the staff, and I will be reading a brief overview for this project. But I also believe Rich Villa, the applicant, is here with us today. So if he can come forward and sit at the end of the table here, and he can speak on it as well. So this application proposes to demolish the 2-story brick building at 302 Market Street, which was constructed in 2017. It further proposes to construct a 5-story building in its place. The new building will have a contemporary design with a first floor storefront and a masonry facade that employs different colors and textures of brick. It will also feature windows of various sizes that get smaller on the upper floors and feature a multi-light over single light design. The front facade will face Market Street, but the rear will not be visible from any public rights of way. The original circa 1840 four-story Greek Revival building on this property was lost in a fire in 2014. The Historical Commission reviewed and approved the existing two-story building at its May 2015 meeting. And at its meeting, the Architectural Committee voted to recommend denial of this project with the suggestion that the applicant revise his application based on comments made at the meeting. Based on those comments, the applicant submitted a revised application that raises the height of the first floor and overall height of the building, adds a cornice element to the first floor, realigns the windows to better match with the neighboring buildings, adds a drawing showing upper cornice details, and adds a brick return to the west wall.
So if you could just take us through the changes that you've made and just push the button and the green light will come on. There you go.
Okay, got it. Hello, everyone. Like Alex said, the building was raised 2 feet by request. What I call a retail cornice was put, I'm gonna step back, was put at the head of the first floor. The windows were not aligned before. They were actually getting tighter as they went up. Now they are aligned to the east and west. The cornice detail is added. I did in turn include a brick return on the west side. It's about 13 feet, which is when my office is right down the street, so I walk by it all the time. So I estimated how far I could really bring that and, be logical about it being seen from the street. And this actually the request was that the fourth floor of windows be the same size as the third floor windows, and that happens as well. And then the window patterning, the multi-light over single light, is it's a detail that is on 3rd Street, just around the corner. I love that pattern of window, and it's something that you used to see or was apparent on Insurance Row and Walnut Street a few blocks away. Like it's a Addison Hutton favorite thing to do is to put that mutton pattern on the top sash and on the lower sash. And so I've done that. And then also, I don't think Alex mentioned it, the first floor is more of the dark brick. And that dark brick that you see is it's called Glengarry Rum Raisin. I think it's on my sheet somewhere.
Yeah.
And it has a sheen to it, a light sheen. I just used it on a building on 52nd Street. It's really nice. And then the Glengarry brick above that is a flatter sheen. So you really will see the difference in the bricks, because also it does face north, so it never really gets direct sun. So this will help to really, read that pattern against the field. And then I did do the window or the numbers at the top of the building, which is a historical effect that we used to see a lot. And it's 302 in a font that is called Penshurst. And I can get those custom made by a guy in Trenton.
Well, thanks for taking us through those changes. And I think that you have addressed all of the comments from the Architectural Committee. I will point out that, it is not a typical arrangement of windows, but given the fact that there's a lot of variety on this block, and we felt that this was appropriate, although different.
Dan, maybe you can answer this question. Why, I'm not clear why there was a recommendation to raise the height overall?
Well, it was the ground level. So
Okay.
the commercial level was a lot lower than the neighboring buildings. And so I think
Okay.
it's been
Yeah,
elevated.
The request was that what we call the retail cornice is up higher so that it is more in line with the other retail cornices that are on the street.
Yeah,
Prior,
Right.
it was a 13-foot ceiling or 13-foot floor to floor. Now it's 15.
yeah. So in the earlier design, which is on the right, you can see how low down the storefront looks relative to
Right.
the neighboring
Yeah,
ones.
no, I see that.
I rarely get the request to make it taller, so I was excited about that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the height of the building that was there historically. How does that relate to that?
This is a photo of what it looked like in 2013, which was before the
Before the
fire
fire,
on
right.
the particular, obviously the building is not in the best condition, but
No.
overall form and height is still preserved there.
So it was the same height as the building to the west.
The building to the west is a new building, actually.
I think it's the building
No,
to the
the
east.
building to the east is new.
On the right side of this
To
picture.
the east is. new.
On the right
Yeah, yeah.
side, sorry, I'm confusing which way is which. No, the building on the right here is a historic building, and so it looks like it was part of the same row. Even given what we can see in the photograph, despite all the alterations. And I mean, I think it's a very handsome design. And obviously the committee went through a whole process with the applicant, but I'm a little troubled by the fact that it's now going to be higher than the historic building. And that, and I love Addison Hutton, but this was not an Addison Hutton building. This was a building from an earlier period.
Oh, I'm not trying to mimic him. I was just saying I like his window patterns.
No, I know. But I'm talking about the detail is really from Addison Hutton's period rather than the 1840s. And I said, don't get me wrong, it's a very handsome design, but I'm troubled by those two elements of the design as it's proposed.
And I think the building that this replaces is also very different. It was,
Well, yeah,
you know,
right. The
Yeah, the
building this
corner
replaces
building.
was
the corner
is-
building is a new building as well.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But I think that if we're going to the standards, it is looking to a period that's not relevant to this, to the surviving historic fabric that's immediately adjacent to it. And that's what troubles me.
I had one other small comment. I'm just, the size of the lights on the very little windows at the top. They're
They're tiny.
vitty teeny, maybe,
I would.
maybe make them a little more similar to the lights in the other windows. That's a small thing, but
I'm fine with that.
it would give it a little more consistency. Yep, great. Other comments from commissioners? Is there public comment?
Yes, one hand is raised. David Traub.
Good morning, David Traub, representing Save Our Sites. I've been following this design pretty much through the process, and I'm very pleased to see that they took the suggestion at the last architectural committee, raising the height of the first floor. I think that's a big improvement. So just overall, I would say one of the closely spaced windows at the fifth floor, the top floor, in a sense, become part of the cornice or the top of the building, the crown of the building. So what you have is kind of the model of a high-rise building with the base and the cornice, the top section, and the middle section with the windows, a little more typical in their spacing and design. So I think all in all, this makes a great contribution to the streetscape and is a rather exemplary example of infill. So I thank the designers and the commission for their suggestions and moving this through the process. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment?
No other hands are raised.
Then I think we're ready for a motion.
I move that, excuse me, John Leck, I move that we approve the demolition and construction of a 5-story building at 302 Market Street.
Second.
Right, then, shall we take a roll call or? All right, well, then let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Persico. Yay or nay on the motion?
Yay.
Commissioner Cooperman?
Again, it's a very handsome design, but I can't endorse it for the reasons that I articulated, so no.
Commissioner Rabauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Carney?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Onofrio?
Yes.
Commissioner Leck?
Yes.
Commissioner Michelle?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain. And Chair McCoopery?
Yes.
The vote is 7-1 with one abstention.
All right, and then the next item on the agenda is 6363 Overbrook Avenue.
Good morning, Josh Schroeder with the staff, and before I read an overview, I believe we have Mr. Stephen Cunningham, who's the property owner, and Mr. Alvin Holmes, the architect for this project here. This revised application proposes to construct a deck on the front porch of the dwelling at 6363 Overbrook Avenue. The front porch was open when the home was originally constructed, but was later enclosed. The proposed deck would cover the entire roof of the front porch as well as the car park to the side. It would include wood railings and a new semicircular platform supported by 4 new columns extending over the front steps to the porch. An exterior steel spiral staircase to access the roof from the ground would be included on the side of the house opposite the car park. Construction of the roof the roof deck began in the fall of 2025 without permits or review by the Historical Commission. The Department of Licenses and Inspections issued a stop work order in violation in January 2026. A platform over the porch roof, posts for the railing, and bases for the columns have already been constructed. The 2 outermost second floor windows on the front facade have been removed, the openings altered for doors, and new doors and exterior light fixtures installed. The submitted plans show that the new second floor doors as existing, but this change was made as part of the construction of the deck. In response to the Architectural Committee's comments on 21 April, the application has been revised and supplemented to include revised drawings showing wood railings for the deck instead of vinyl as first proposed, photographs of the new doors installed in the altered window openings, photographs of preferred and alternate locations for the proposed exterior spiral staircase, and photographs corresponding to an address list provided by the applicant of other houses in the neighborhood with similar second-story roof decks. Per research by the staff, all of these appear to have been present when the Overbrook Farms Historic District was designated and have not undergone review by the Historical Commission. And I wasn't able to track down which ones may have been original or not, but I think many of them might have been. And the Architectural Committee's recommendation was denial pursuant to standards 2 and 9.
So the applicants are with us. So if you'd like to take us through whatever changes you've made and describe the process, the project.
Yeah, well, let me say, as an architect, I'm a very traditional designer myself, and I have the greatest respect and admiration for both Horace Trumbauer and William Price. And I want to point out that the renovation and additions that Price designed are radically different from what Trumbauer's original design was. Look at the prominent 2-story octagonal bays that Price put on the sides, but it all appears unified. And also note that Trumbauer had an open front porch that was later completely enclosed by Price, who also changed all the window frames.
Added the porte cochere was also added.
Yes, the porte cochere as well. These were all radical, though the unity remained. And compared to all that, I felt that the proposed changes today are very modest indeed. The alteration of the second floor windows, which was just mentioned, into doorways onto the deck are done with scrupulous attention to detail so that they appear to be original construction. And that was mostly for the sake of viewers on the new deck because they really can't be seen from the street level at all. Also, the existing cornice shape, a large cavetto above a smaller cyma will be used on any new portions. As for the proposed new stairway to the deck from the yard, it seems to me a very minor addition to the very large array of small constructions already crowding the side yard. To this already remarkable collection of different structures, the new stairway is hardly notable and barely visible besides the little greenhouse there. As to the structural stability of the existing roof and the proposed decking, I checked out architectural graphic standards and it said it is altogether adequate. In addition, my associate architect, John Devine, has done the calculations and he says the roof deck should be designed for a live load of 40 PSF and a dead load of 10 PSF. The 2x8s, 16 inches on center and 12-foot span can support a total load of 50 PSF, so the deck is altogether okay. Snow load in Philadelphia is 25 PSF, but no one will be on the deck when it snows. And these existing original 2x8s are true 2x8s, not the current size of 1.5 by 7.25. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. I'm suggesting that the additions that we're making are very modest in relation to the overall original design. Thank you.
I don't know if you have had a chance to read. I also included recommendations from my neighbors. Most of the neighbors that are directly across the street from me, as soon as they walk out their door or look out their window, they'll see my house and my next door neighbor. So these are my closest neighbors, closest in proximity, and they're looking forward to it, and they think it's going to be beautiful. I showed them the plans and even took them up there, and they highly endorse it.
I have a question. Who did the alterations in 1920?
Price,
Which Price?
William F. W.F. Price.
William Lightfoot Price was dead in 1920. Okay.
Walter, sorry.
It's Walter.
W.F.
Okay, all right. Well, that meant, thank you. That's helpful.
I would add that the architectural committee agreed with staff's recommendation that this does not meet the Secretary of Interior standards. The applicant has provided samples, multiple samples of buildings within the neighborhood that do have porches on the front of the house, second floor porches. But most of them appear to have been original to the design of the house and not subsequent additions. There are numerous letters of support for the project from all of the near neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but think that if this were a roof deck in Center City, we would absolutely say no. And so I don't know why we would change our practice from one part of the city to the next.
From the street, you can't see, you can barely see it. The trees and bushes block it. It's not, see, there you go. And I believe it's going to be an enhancement to the property and to the neighborhood.
It is difficult as a precedent because we would, had this come before us in the normal process, it's not likely to have been approved.
And I'm also willing to make further revisions to comply.
The problem is it is very visible. I mean, I understand that if you're standing in the middle of the street and the leaves are on all the trees, you won't see it. But if you're standing right on that sidewalk, which is part of the public right of way, it's very visible. And that's kind of, unfortunately, that's our standard of review. It's the main front facade. And if you see any of it, you definitely see that.
I sent maybe a dozen pictures of other, these second-story front roof decks are all over the neighborhood. I didn't even go down as far as 59th Street, which is the other part of, on the other side of the tracks of Overbrook Farms. They're just all over the place. And I don't think I don't think it would be fair that other people have them and block me from having it.
We're talking about apples and oranges here. What we're talking about is, in many cases, the roof decks that you're talking about were part of the original design when the building was first built. Therefore, they're historic. They're part of the historic character of the building. You're talking about adding something new, not something that was part of the original design. And that's therefore they're just two different very things. And then the other thing that consideration, which was mentioned earlier, is that if roof decks were added prior to designation, there is no requirement that they be taken off until a project is presented to the commission for review when a permit is applied for. And obviously, a permit should have been applied for in this case. And if it had been, the project would have been reviewed at a much earlier stage, and the staff would have been able to say, I'm sorry, this doesn't meet the standards, and it would never have gotten this far. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for your situation, but it's, you're talking about, I understand there are other roof decks. Absolutely. That's not, it's really apples and oranges.
Well, like we showed, there's been drastic changes to the frontage of this house, and very drastic. With the enclosure of the porch, the addition of the porte cochere, the octagonal bays, 3-story octagonal bays, and so it has been changed from its original form.
Again, there's a very important technical point here. And that is that those are historic changes. They were done in 1920. And therefore, they're part of the historic character of the property. You're talking about new changes. That's different.
John Lack, I have a question about zoning. Have you began the process to seek zoning approval for this deck? So I reviewed the permit record. There wasn't an application in place yet, and it wouldn't be triggered until it went to the L&I review. It's currently sitting at the Historical Commission. It's my understanding that zoning approval would require a variance for this deck also. So you have a lot of hurdles to get across here to get this into compliance. That's why, as everybody always says, it's important to get the permits before work starts. And I understand the predicament you're in, but put the cart before the horse, and it's tough to clean up at this point. Also, the the current deck requirements are very strict, and I think some serious alterations would probably have to be made to bring this into compliance. I understand the size of the rafters, but in the current deck construction is all about the connection to the structure. And this is a fairly large deck. If, I don't know how many friends you have, but you could put 50 people up there, and that'll be a considerable load, and we don't want to risk any failure. So there may, just to this, besides the design, excuse me, besides the design, there's probably significant changes that have to be made. If one more thing before the doors that you were added, there's a step up from the inside.
Yes.
What size are those doors? Are they stock doors?
I don't have it committed to memory.
Well, how much did you pay for them? That'll answer the question. If they're off the shelf,
Look like metal doors to me.
yeah, but
They're not metal doors.
Not metal.
No.
but are they?
They're some composite, like fiberglass. This would all.
They
be-
weren't a special order. That's what I'm asking. All right, so
Everything will be painted to match everything around.
I was just asking because the height requirements for openings, I thought it might be under, but if it's a stock door, I'm sure you're in compliance there.
Do we have other comments from committee members? Is there public comment?
No hands are raised.
Then we're ready.
I'm sorry, a hand was just raised. David Traub?
David Trout here again. I saw this design at the architectural committee, and I do note that what I see today is improvement, further refinement architecturally. I think that, you know, it's more impressive in its appearance now as drawn. So I'm going to make no comment about the basic premise of the design. I'll leave that to the commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment.
If I could add before we have motion, Dr. Farnham, if you can recall any examples of any changes like this that the applicant could base that actually gained approval from the commission?
I'm not aware of a deck being proposed for the roof of an historic porch on a building of a similar configuration in Overbrook Farms or elsewhere in the city. This is unprecedented with regard to applications to the Historical Commission. We certainly can do a search of permit reviews and permit approvals and see if there's something that I'm forgetting, but this is not like an application I've seen before.
And with that, I just want to add before we have motion, if we vote no on this application, the staff would be able to be a resource to help you refine this and see what may be acceptable to the commission as a whole. So please reach out to them for their advice, and they may be able to.
These people.
No, this is the commission, so the architectural commission staff. They can help you hopefully get this to something that's acceptable.
All right, then I think we're ready for a motion.
I'll go ahead. I move that we deny the construction of the deck on the front porch roof at 6363 Overbrook Ave.
I'll second.
Then, unless I hear otherwise, we have unanimous consent. All right, well, thank you for coming in.
Does this mean I have to remove it?
No, it does not, but we can talk to you offline about your options.
Okay.
One option that you always have is to appeal this decision, and we can discuss with you that process if you'd like to proceed that way, or otherwise we can talk about other options for resolving this.
I would like that.
And I'm sorry, I'm looking for the Josh can assist you with that. Happy to talk to you after the meeting, and we can help you with all of the options that you can pursue.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. All right, we now move on to the last item on this morning's agenda. It's a comment on a National Register nomination, 3031 to 49 North 21st Street.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This is Alex Till with the staff. I will read a brief summary of this particular nomination. So the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, PHMC, has requested comments from the Philadelphia Historical Commission on the National Register nomination of 3031 North 21st Street, located in North Philadelphia and historically known as the DeLong Hook and Eye Company Factory. PHMC is charged with implementing federal historic preservation regulations in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, including overseeing the National Register of Historic Places in the state. PHMC reviews all such nominations before forwarding them to the National Park Service for action. As part of that process, PHMC must solicit comments on every National Register nomination from the appropriate local government. The Philadelphia Historical Commission speaks on behalf of the City of Philadelphia in historic preservation matters, including the review of National Register nominations. Under federal regulation, the local government not only must provide comments, but must also provide a forum for public comment on nominations. Such a forum is provided during the Philadelphia Historical Commission's meetings. The DeLong Hook and Eye Company Factory is significant under Criterion A in the area of industry as home to one of the largest and best-known manufacturers of notions and sewing accessories in the United States during the first half of the 20th century. In 1889, Frank Emerson DeLong patented an innovative form of hook and eye fastener. In a factory in Philadelphia, DeLong immediately went about manufacturing these hooks and eyes, which very quickly became the most popular and widely available form of garment fastener in the United States. Sold from catalogs of national suppliers like Sears and Montgomery Ward, and in department stores and pharmacies in thousands of cities and towns, the DeLong Hook and Eye became an iconic American product in just a few short years. By the late 19-teens, as the hook and eye began to decline in popularity, DeLong pivoted, investing significantly in the development of snap fasteners, which were quickly becoming standard in many forms of women's clothing. Around the same time, DeLong relocated to a new purpose-built factory at 21st and Clearfield Streets in North Philadelphia, which was completed in 1918. The large modern facility allowed DeLong to increase the efficiency of its production, especially of snap fasteners, which helped the company to remain one of, if not the largest, manufacturers of notions sewing accessories in the country for many years to come. The period of significance of the DeLong Hook and Eye Company factory begins in 1918, when the factory was completed and began operations, and ends in 1962, when it was finally closed after having been acquired by the Scoville Manufacturing Company in 1955. This property is not currently listed on the Philadelphia Register of Historic Places.
All right, well, the commission is invited to, or actually is required to comment on National Register nominations. So do we have any comments from commissioners?
I'll comment that I really love seeing industrial properties added to the register, and just curious if there's any development plans underway for this or in the works potentially.
I mean, that information isn't forwarded to us along with, like, from the state, but most often when you see buildings such as this being nominated, it's usually to end up getting tax credits for similar projects. So I would hope so.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that's the case with this building.
So it was amazing to ride in on SEPTA and pass those just one after the other of these buildings, many of which are coming back to life. Many of which are
Because
amazing
the
canvases.
interior is pretty spectacular too.
Yeah,
structure.
flat slab.
I found it interesting. I mean, you mentioned the amount of industry that's still in that area, but I was reviewing some old maps. It was even considerably more dense years ago. It was interesting. You wouldn't know it looking at it now, but I'm glad they're saving this building.
Well, and it survived thanks to its heavy reinforced concrete construction originally.
And there
I
was,
just-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's okay. Dan, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's terrific. You have these robust buildings with concrete frames and then a little decorative pediment over
Yeah.
the entrance.
Yes,
That's
yeah, it's
just the
wonderful.
last little touch.
Yeah. You can't do without that. No, I was just going to say it's another excellent nomination from Kevin McMahon, whose work is always really good. And I thought this was extremely thorough in terms of the background history. And it is good to have, I think he made a very convincing case for significance, despite the fact that the innovations took place elsewhere by this committee, that he was very convincing in terms of carrying those the innovations forward into this building. So I think that's, and I think, I understand the decision to go with criterion A. I think that's very reasonable. I think an argument could have been made under criterion C for the association with William Steele. That would have been harder. So I know that with you doing tax credit projects, you want to get it done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So I think that, and certainly A is convincing in this case.
All right. Are there any other items, agenda items or other items?
We have one hand raised in the public who would like to comment on the National Register nomination. Paul Stanky, we could have him unmuted, please.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you. Paul Stanky, Preservation Alliance for Greater Philadelphia. Wanted to comment on a companion building to this one that I think is worth noting, which is the DeLong building at 1228 Chestnut Street at the corner of 13th, which has that fantastic fire escape on the 13th Street side, was built by the same, by Mr. DeLong, the man behind the Hook and Eye Company here on 21st. So just think it's interesting for the commission to remember that the DeLong building in Center City was a companion to this building, and that the DeLong building on Chestnut was added to the Philadelphia Register of Historic Places by the Preservation Alliance nomination that was also written by Kevin McMahon. So thank you for the opportunity to point that out.
Well, thank you for pointing it out to us. Very interesting. Is there other comment?
No other hands are raised.
Then I guess we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Right. Unless I hear otherwise, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.